This world is not real. This world is not real. This world is not real. I like the fact that the Gnostics said it many, many, many years ago. Before we had technology, before we knew that it was possible to create a simulation of this world, before we knew that that was possible, before Facebook, before we saw these AI generated videos, before CGI, watch movies like Avengers, Infinity War. You see Thanos, he looks real, right? The planets seem real, spaceships seem real. Before all of that, before we watched movies like The Matrix, before we watched Black Mirror episodes, before we watched Inception, Gnostics have been saying this world isn't real. They say that during the time when it was actually taboo to say something like that. Now it isn't so crazy to say that this world is not real, because we have seen a lot that we can never be surprised anymore. Nothing surprises us anymore. If they told us that, hey, this is a simulation, we've been meaning to tell y'all, but we thought you weren't ready, but it's a simulation. You kind of like trapped. Yeah, but you need to do this and that to wake up if that's really important to you. This is your time to wake up. If you don't wake up, this simulation is going to change and you're going to find yourself in a new simulation and you're not going to remember anything. No one will be shocked. No one will be shocked. No one will be shocked if they said, a lot of people who are here are soulless beings. They're not real. They're not real people like you. They're soulless. They don't have souls. They don't have consciousness. They're part of the simulation, basically. They were created with the simulation, to be in the simulation and to deceive you, to make you think that this is real. No one will be surprised. Like, we've seen too many movies exploring that idea, so we wouldn't really be surprised. I mean, when you look around you, a lot of shit that's happening, it's so crazy that wouldn't be crazy. But the Gnostics said that when it was taboo to say something like that, this is not real. It's a simulation. It's an illusion. It's fake. It's a false reality. On this video, I'm going to be talking about what we can learn from Gnosticism. How I interpret what's written in the books that were discovered in 1995 in Nag Hammadi. Is it weird that those books weren't discovered until 1945? I want to talk about what Gnosticism should mean to us as conscious beings that are experiencing what we call reality. I'm going to talk about how we should view reality. What is the best way to view reality? Because we lie to ourselves a lot. We lie to ourselves a lot. I'm going to talk about the topic that someone suggested, and I would say it kind of aligns with what I'm going to be talking about, so that's good. Synchronicities, huh? Let me ask you a question here. Let me ask you this question. Let's say you woke up somewhere, maybe in an island. Let's say you wake up in an island. You don't know anything at all. You are alone. You are alone in that island. You don't know anything. No one is telling you what's going on because there is no one. Try to explore the island. You find some messages about what's going on. You find instructions on how you need to leave. Maybe they're telling you that you need to eat. You find that you're actually able to understand those instructions. How to get food. How to stay healthy. You find yourself going through some challenges in that island. Remember, you don't know what's really like going on. And then one day, when you were still trying to figure out what's going on, you meet someone and they say, are you tired of this reality? Are you tired of what you're experiencing? Look, I have this technology. This is a very brilliant technology. You just need to wear this helmet, and then you wear the helmet. And then you find yourself in another world where you forget everything about what happened in the world that you were in. And you go through similar experiences, and then they decide to remove the helmet, and then you wake up. Would you be crazy to think that even that world that you found yourself in is not real? It's a simulation. I'm asking you a very serious question now. Why should you think that the world that you found yourself in is the real world if you already know that it's possible to be in a world that is not real and that you think is real when you're in it? Wouldn't you say that the person who will be questioning their reality after having that kind of experience is very sane? Like, that is the definition of sanity. Why wouldn't you question your reality if you know beyond any reasonable doubt that you can fall asleep, find yourself in a world that is 100% similar to this world, and you do not know that you are sleeping somewhere and you are having a... I'm serious. There are people who'll be like, you're crazy to say this is a dream. Like, come on, man. Think. Let's stop playing. Think, and think. Do you understand that everything that you've ever been told about this world, everything, stories of the Anunnakis, stories in the Bible, theory of evolution, when we compare all of that to the theory that this might actually be a dream, those stories stop making sense. Like, you can't compare these stories, the theories that people have about reality, to the theory that this might actually be a dream. Because we already know that we dream. That is something that you know. And you know that when you dream, you don't know that you're dreaming. Isn't that interesting? What is the difference between your dreams in this world. You might say, well, in my dreams, sometimes I can do this. Not in every dream. There are dreams where you cannot fly. There are dreams where you can't even move. There are dreams where you can do what you do here. Of course, it needed to be like that. Of course. If you found yourself in another reality, it shouldn't be like this. It's like if you expected to go to a different town and you expected it to look like your town. Wouldn't you be insane? You leave your town, you're like, I want to go and live in a different town, and you expect it to look like your town. And you'd be like, well, it's not a town because it doesn't look like my town. Like, nah, it is a town. It just has, it's a different town. Come on. Would you say, because you've had, how many times have you slept since you were born here? You've probably had more than 10,000 dreams. Would you say that some of your dreams are not dreams because they're different from other dreams? Like, how do you define reality? And what separates reality from dreams? Ever notice that the only way that you can differentiate between what you call reality and dreams is after you've woken up from a dream and you say, oh, it was a dream. So wouldn't you be naive if you were like that guy that trapped in an island, is alone, he feels like everything is real, and then he finds a person who gives him a helmet and he experiences another world that's kind of like similar to their world, but maybe some few things are different. And then that guy removes the helmet, and he thinking that he woke up in the real world and that's a simulation, and the world that is in it is not a simulation. Wouldn't you be like that guy if you felt like this was real, if you can dream? Let's go back to Gnosticism. Gnostics have been saying this world is not real many, many years ago. But if this world is not real, why do we think that the stories that they've been telling us are real? Story about Sophia, story about the demiurge, archons. There is something that I've realized about consciousness. I don't know if you've realized this too. It reveals the truth to you in ways that you can understand, right? In ways that you can understand. It's not supposed to be too clear, but it's not supposed to be too unclear. There's a reason why we discovered the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945. Why weren't those books discovered until 1945? Why were those books even discovered? Wouldn't you say that it's because they needed to be discovered? And what they were telling us is something symbolic. It's not literal. It's not what you really think. Because if this is not real, those books themselves cannot really be real. But they're telling us, it's like your subconscious can create an event just to make you understand something, knowing damn well that you wouldn't really understand it any other way. Or if you were shown the truth as it really is, you'd wake up. So maybe you need to be shown the truth in a way that you yourself will take it bit by bit. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you'll be gaining insights that will make you understand what is actually going on. But you won't really be told, so that you don't totally wake up. Because if you were told, like, the truth was just made that easy to you, you just wake up, right? The world is inside you. Everything is you. There are archons, beings that are feeding off negative energy. What are those beings, in your opinion? We're talking about entities that exist on their own. Are we talking about negative entities that we're creating when we're not feeling good, when we're thinking negative thoughts? And I've already explained to you what negative thoughts are. Negative thoughts are not thoughts that are based on truth. Negative thoughts are just thoughts that, people do create negative scenarios in their head. You know that? I remember telling you about this experiment that they've done related to the double slit experiment. They like put a cat inside a bucket, something like that, and closed it, and then came back the next day and that said the cat is dead and alive. Like, it depends on the observer, really. Like, it's both dead and alive. What some people do is that something happens, right? Let me give you this simple example. Let's say you are dating someone. You see them with this other guy. You could choose to believe that, okay, that maybe that guy is a friend. Maybe that guy is a brother. Maybe that guy, they just met, they just talking. Maybe that's a business partner or whatever. Oh, you tell yourself, no, they're dating. They're definitely fucking. Right? The cat is both dead and alive. Like, it actually was up to you to decide. But you decided that the worst thing was happening, and because you've decided that, you start to create demons. You start to suffer because of that. And you lose a lot of energy, right? So now you're giving your energy to something negative that you're creating on a subconscious level. And that is why if you go to sleep feeling that way, you're going to have dreams that are going to be full of beings that are going to be giving you negative experiences. So who's really creating these archons, in your opinion? Who's really creating these soulless beings? Who's created the demiurge? I've been giving you this example. I told you that I've been to so many churches where they pray for people and they fall. Where I've went there with people, and those people that I went there with fell and started rolling. And that wouldn't happen to me at all. Here's why I think that doesn't happen to me. It's because I didn't manifest that kind of reality based on how I think. To me, all of it is nonsense. So no matter what a pastor say, they can scream in the name of Jesus, in the name of whatever, even if they like come up with new names, even if they try to like push me, whatever, I'm not gonna fall. Because I'm not creating that reality where that exists. You know what I mean? Like on a subconscious level, that doesn't exist. To me, it's all fake. But to them, it's not. It's real. So it happens. You know what I'm saying? So it really does matter what you think, like what you really think. No matter what happens, I was having a conversation with someone. I was like, you know that something can happen, prove to you that you're wrong about something. But if you told yourself that you're still not wrong, there will be some few things that will happen to change. Like it depends on how strong your belief is, especially on a subconscious level. You mustn't be faking. Like reality can actually change the same way it does in your dreams, and there will be an explanation. I want to try and find an example of something like that happening. I want to find an example that we all can relate to. Let's say that there's a new virus, right? There's a new virus. There are many people in some country that died from this virus. And you're like, nah, they're lying. They're lying. And then you switch on your TV and everyone is talking about it. There's a virus. You're like, nah, it's not real. You go to sleep, you don't even mind, you don't even like pay attention to it. And then maybe you're on TikTok the next day, and then you find someone saying, "Oh yeah, they lied. It was all a prank," or blah blah blah. The group of kids started to spread this rumor, and you find that it's not real. Like now, it's not real, but it was real, and it could have been. But because of you, again, the cat thing, the cat is both dead and alive. Like it was up to you to decide what is true. So it's very important that you do not tell yourself negative stories about things. I know most of the people who watch my videos tell themselves negative stories about things. Like sometimes they try to be negative about something. Like everything that's happening is happening for a bad reason, you know, and that's not good, because like it's good to be skeptical. Like it's the perfect place to be. It's in the middle where you are skeptical, right? You're gonna be safe. That's the safest place to be. Don't tell yourself negative stories about things that you don't know. If you already know that something is negative, good, that's beautiful. The things that I tell you are negative, and they are negative for real, because I've verified that these things are actually negative. But there are things that you don't know are negative, but you tell yourself that these things are negative. You could meet a person, but because you know a lot of people suck, you tell yourself that this person is bad, this person is evil. Even the person was not really evil, but now that's what you're creating. Oh, you are pushing away what is good in your life and attracting what is actually bad. You're attracting people who are going to prove to you that people are evil, right? Because that's exactly what you'll be doing. Because those who are evil will continue to be evil. But there are people who are good, but you are closing a door so that they cannot enter. But already you are surrounded by evil people. So they will continue to be evil and continue to prove you right because that's what you want to see. You see? Let's go back to this being a dream. What else do you think reality can be if it's not a dream? Like, what else do you think it is? Simulation? Simulation. Let me ask you a question. How did we evolve enough to be able to create these simulations? Think of these monkeys that you are saying. It's monkeys that we are mistreating. It's monkeys that are locked in a zoo, in cages, that we watch and we like to believe that we're the good guys. They are bad. They are wild. We're good. Do you genuinely think that on their own, after 1 million years, they will be able to, 1 billion years, they will be able to create what we have created? Let's just say all of us died and it was only monkeys that were left. Do you think they will be able to evolve and be able to do what we are able to do? Let us be real. Because to realize that this is not real, all of it, to realize what would be possible and what wouldn't be possible. So if you want to say that we're living in a simulation, you're basically saying that in the beginning we're animals, we evolved, and then we're now able to create simulations, or with these physical beings that were very advanced, but to become advanced, we have had to have a beginning where we evolved, right? Evolved on our own. How is that possible? To even be able to create simulations? But what if consciousness was always there and you were it, and you were able to create simulations, but even when you enter the simulation, you haven't really entered a simulation because all of it is an illusion, right? Like even the simulation that you've entered is an illusion. The same way that if you are dreaming that you are in a simulation, you are not in a simulation. You're just dreaming that you're in a simulation. So you can never be in a simulation. You can only dream that you're in a simulation. So this cannot be a simulation. Even if you wake up and you were in a simulation, it was not a simulation, it was a dream. You were dreaming that you were in a simulation. So how do you live your life? Understanding what I'm telling you now, how do you live your life? I've been telling you that since you are conscious, since you're self-aware, it's always been up to you to decide what is true. And no matter what anyone says, it's 100% up to you. It's not up to the leaders of the world. It's not up to these religious deities that you pray to. It's not up to your father or your mother. It's not up to Benedictine. It's not up to your favorite spiritual teachers. It's not up to God. It's always been up to you. You are the one who decide what is going on. Remember the example that I gave you in the beginning about a guy stuck in an island that met a guy who put a helmet on him, and he found himself in a simulation, and then he removed the helmet and he found himself again in that island. It's up to him to decide what's real. You do understand that you already have real evidence, solid evidence that you can be in a world that is 100% not real. Populated people, right? It's populated with people who have their own, who seem to have their own minds. Animals that seem to have their own minds, where you can learn new things, you can learn new languages. And people, when I tell them that it's a dream, like, okay, how do you explain different languages? Like, no, in your dreams you can learn, like, you can learn a new language, a language that doesn't exist. Aliens, you dream about aliens coming to Earth and speaking a different language, and you learning that language, and you actually being able to speak that language, and you being able to understand what the aliens are saying, and they're able to understand what you're saying. You can have that kind of dream. That's not impossible. Everything that is possible here is possible in your dreams. Everything. You can make great music in your dreams. Someone else can make great music in your dream. You can dream of this new rapper who'll be spitting these crazy bars, and you're like, wow, you'll be impressed. You become a fan. You sometimes you won't even believe how they're able to do that. And then you wake up and you're like, damn, so it was my subconscious mind that was creating all of that. How? My subconscious mind was able to impress me. I thought I was not an artist. I thought I couldn't make music, but I did make music in my dream because it was me, right? That guy, that new guy that I discovered, who was a rapper, that was me. You already know that is 100% possible. So, are you crazy to think that you are still in a dream? Are you going to be one of those people who will have a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream? So you wake up from the first dream, you're like, oh shit, it's a dream. That's crazy. I thought it was real. And then something else happens, and then you wake up again, you're like, what? But then, so I woke up twice. And then you wake up again, you still think that you woke up in the real world. Like every time when you wake up, you're like, I woke up in the real world. You wake up again, I woke up in the real world. You wake up again, you woke up in the real world. Like keep on telling yourself that you're waking up in the real world, even though you keep on waking up. Why can't you say, since I've been waking up and waking up and waking up, maybe this is not a real world. Maybe if I woke up in the real world, I will understand everything. Because why do you understand nothing? This is a very important question. If this is not a dream, why are you so fucking confused? Because dreams are fucking confusing. So why are you confused if this is not a dream? If this is real, why don't you... Shouldn't you know what the fuck is going on if this is not a dream? Let's just solve that question. If this is not a dream, why do you not know what is going on? Isn't it because nothing is actually going on? It's just hallucinations after hallucinations after hallucinations that will never ever make sense. So there isn't anything that's actually going on. Soon there will be aliens. But nothing is really going on. Yeah, I do believe that soon we'll know about the existence of aliens. I'm telling you. I think that's where the dream is going. I think we've seen enough signs that that's what's next. It's close. They're gonna tell us that aliens have been here. We've discovered the Nag Hammadi library, not because those books were there all along, but because we needed to discover them and we had to feel like they were there all along. I think the past is being created in the present. I think there's still things that we're still going to discover, not because these things existed. No, we're going to discover them. They will start existing when we discover them, not because they've always existed. And that's what we do not understand about reality. There are things that you'll discover about the people that you live with. These things didn't exist. They only exist after you discover them. That's why it's important, the stories that you'll be telling yourself. I have done a lot of work trying to figure out what reality really is, and I've never been able to escape the idea that this is a dream. I've tried in so many ways. Like, nah, this can't be a dream because of this and that. But I'll be like, oh, no. This and that is still showing me that it's a dream. I've done real work trying to understand what this is. So this is what I'm running with, that it is a dream. It's a dream. It's happening in the mind. Even if I don't want to call it a dream, but it's happening in the mind, just like my sleeping dreams. My sleeping dreams are happening in my mind. There's a reason why this is weird. It's not weird for the sake of being weird. It's weird because it's not real. There are things that happen in your own life that have, like, things that show you that this is not real, but the problem is that you really believe that this is real. I was telling someone this. It was someone that I used to chill with last year. I was telling them that, you know how powerful your mind is. Do you know that you could see evidence of what you believe, even if there's more evidence to support what you do not believe? Let's say you believe that someone hates you, right? Someone who doesn't hate you, but you believe that they do. Or someone convinced you that they do. Like, maybe you've never were close with that person, but then someone told you that they hate you. One day they greet you, they help you with something, then you catch them looking at you like this, and then they look away and you're like, yeah, that means they hate me. You shake your hand. One day you will try to talk to them about something, like, okay, I'll come to you. Let me just finish this. I'm busy now. And then they come to you. But because they said they were busy, like, oh, they hate me. And like, now you're seeing evidence of what you've been telling yourself. So if you tell yourself that this shit is real, you're going to see evidence that this is real, even if almost everything tells you that this isn't real, right? But because you've already told yourself that this is real, you've already believed that this is real, the same way that when you're dreaming, you believe that it's real. No matter what happens, there's a reason why, even if the weirdest things happen in your dream, you still think it's real. Why? Could have a dream where you're seeing a dragon, like a big ass dragon. Like I'm trying to imagine those dragons from Game of Thrones. You're facing the dragon. It'd probably be the size of this football field. You're having a dream where you're staring at a dragon and it can talk. But you still feel like it's real. I remember 3 days back I had a dream where I committed a crime and I was about to get arrested. I remember, and this is funny, I remember I didn't pray, but I mean like wishing. Yeah, let me say wishing. I wanted to say prayed that it was a dream, but wishing that it was a dream. Please, let this be a dream. Let this be a dream. I already felt, even in that dream, I already knew that, reality wasn't real, but I was in my sleeping dream. Like I was not in this reality. That's what I was praying for. But that's what's crazy, that even though I was in a dream and I was wishing that it was not a dream, I couldn't figure out that I was not in this dream, or what you call reality. Because somehow, on a subconscious level, I already convinced myself that I am. Because the crime that I was being arrested for, it's not a kind of crime that I will commit. So that should have been a sign. Try to create the world that you want to create based on the stories that you tell yourself. Because if this is a dream, like if I'm right that this is a dream, I think that's how you be creating reality. By choosing your desired reality, choosing that to be the truth. Yes, there are things that are already true, but there are things that you do not know whether they're true or not. So I think that's where you need to focus more on what you desire to be the truth, right? I remember I gave you this example of the movie Fast and Furious, about how reality is just becoming lame, just like the movies like Fast and Furious. Like now it's not making sense. But here's the thing. The writers of the movie still have a chance to make Fast and Furious franchise the best franchise ever. They could try to explain all the weird shit that happened, because the movie went from a street racing movie into Avengers, right? Next movie they might actually encounter aliens, but they still have a chance here. They could change things by creating a new story. The next Fast and Furious movie could start with Dom waking up, and things are the way that they were. They cannot perform these crazy stunts that they've been performing, these impossible things that they've been doing. It was all his dream. It was all in his mind. Imagine if they pulled that plot twist. What am I telling you that? I'm telling you this because I think you can also create a crazy plot twist about life. I don't think it's best to look at ourselves as these powerless beings. As if I know that it truly feels as if we're trapped. That's how it feels. But what if we are trapping ourselves? What if there isn't an entity that is outside of us that's trapping us? It's us who are trapping ourselves. The same way that if you are in your dream and there's this monster that is, torturing you, who is that monster? Is it a monster that was able to enter your dream and torture you? Or that monster was created by your subconscious? It's you who created it without really knowing how you did that. Meaning that to get rid of it, it's you who need to get rid of it. Because it's you who created it. Right? But if you're telling yourself that, there's these monsters in my dreams, they are so powerful, that this and that, they become powerful, more and more powerful, because that's what you're telling yourself. You're feeding, it's like if you're feeding, let's say you don't want a certain plant to grow, but you keep on, pouring water at it. It's going to continue to grow. So let's say you don't know that pouring water at it makes it grow, and you keep pouring water at it, and it keeps on growing, and then someone tells you that, the reason why this thing keeps on growing is because you keep on pouring water at it. Stop pouring water at it, it will stop growing. And maybe you don't listen to them, you're like, you're crazy. Maybe you need to stop telling yourself the worst shit about what you do not know. Talk about what you already know, but what you do not know, try to create a better reality, because the cat is both dead and alive. I think that's the real magic here. I've decided to look at this as a dream because everything tells me that it's a dream. At the age of 31, I'm turning 32 at the end of this month. At the age of 31 and 11 months, I can tell you that everything tells me that this is a dream. Like, I've seen real evidence that this is a dream. I've had dreams that showed me that this is a dream. It showed me that this is not real. All of it. And it's best for me to look at it that way. Even if it means that I'll be crazy. Everyone is crazy. How do we even define crazy? I say someone is crazy because they're not doing things the way that we expect them to do things, so that means they're crazy. But how do we really define crazy? I do think that those who are truly trying to understand reality, those who are truly coming up with their own theories about reality, those who trust themselves, those are the people who are sane. Whether they're right or wrong, I would say insanity is allowing other people to tell you what is going on, not trusting yourself to figure out for yourself what is actually happening. You tell yourself that it's impossible for you to know. You tell yourself that you are a victim of other people, rather than telling yourself that you can look at it anyhow. You can look at it as a dream, that even if other people mistreat you, they are part of your dream, and it's up to you that you actually create what you want to create. There's something that I've realized, and this is something that's crazy. There are some things that you don't get in your life, not because you don't deserve to get these things, but because you have been telling yourself too many negative things about how you don't deserve to get it. So even when you get to a point where you can get it, you don't get it. Like something crazy happens for you to not get it. Let's say you're telling yourself that you can never ever have money. Ever have money. And that's real. That is true. You believe that even on a subconscious level, and you win the lottery. You've won, right? You might find that a lot of people won. When you win, everyone won. And then something happens. You say, because a lot of people won, we feel like this was not real. We feel like maybe someone leaked the numbers that were gonna come out or whatever. Like they'll find an excuse, or there will be something that we're supposed to know about lottery. Like they say that if more than 20 people win, it means, if they get the numbers right, it means that something is wrong and nobody wins or something. You end up not getting the money because, you know what I mean, because of what you've been telling yourself, because of what you believe. It's crazy there ain't that many people on the street. One question that I've asked myself is, how do I not get robbed? Like I always find myself in situations where where it's easy to get robbed. I think that also tells you that this world is not real, right? Like there's some things that maybe if you experience them, you'll experience them because maybe you're supposed to, but if you're not supposed to experience something, you're not going to experience it. If it's not, if you didn't water it on the subconscious level, it's not going to grow. So it's never going to happen. I mean, yes, I've been in a situation where I almost got robbed, but I never got robbed. I mean, I did get robbed in a situation where I was supposed to get robbed. That was 100% my fault. But I mean, in the street, like this, like in an open space like this. Because even the day when I got robbed, like it was my fault. I mean, not got robbed, that I almost got robbed. Like four months ago, yeah. And the time when I got robbed, it was maybe 7 years ago, and before that time, there was a gap of 5 years, yeah. And in both situations, it was my fault. Like I went to a place where I shouldn't have been, and that's how I got robbed. And I fully acknowledge that. I was like, yeah, I had no business being in that place, so it's 100% my fault that I got robbed. But yeah, it's crazy that I can just shoot my videos freely and I never really get robbed. I never there's a video that I took at night the other day and I felt like these guys were coming after me, but nothing happened. There are a lot of things that don't happen that would happen in the real world if this wasn't a dream. Someone said I must talk about hope and synchronicities. Do synchronicities mean that something good is going to happen? Like, should we explain synchronicities that way? That's the topic that someone suggested. So that's the topic that we're going to talk about. And that's one of the reasons why I made this message positive, right? Because I said I must talk about hope. So let's talk about synchronicities. Have I explained something that you knew wouldn't happen in the real world? You're like, nah. I'm not just talking about synchronicities where like maybe you think of a person and that person calls you. You find that you haven't thought about that person in 2 years, right? You forgot that they existed, and then you think about them, and the minute you think about them, they call, and you're like, what the? I've had those kind of synchronicities, like many times. You think about someone that you used to work with. That person has your numbers, but you've never thought about them. Like in 2 years, you've not thought about them. When you think about them, they call. You're like, I remember one day, when was it? It was 2023 or 2022. It was probably 2022. Probably 2022. I decided to contact my ex, maybe the beginning of 2023. But yeah, I decided to contact my ex. I had not spoken to her in like 5 years. Me and her broke up in 2013 March, and not 2013, 2018 March, right? 13th of March 2018. So okay, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. So it's been like 6 years actually, because it was after March when I decided to send her a text. You know what she said to me? She said, "I was just thinking about you." How crazy is it? And she used to say that a lot, and I'll be like, "Are you maybe always thinking about me?" That's why. She's like, "Nah, I had not thought about you in like forever. Like I've moved on with my life. I had not thought about you." But I was reading a diary, and there's something that I wrote about you. It's a diary that I used to write on in 2018, 2019. So I was reading the diary, and I came across something that I wrote about you. So I was thinking about you, and you called. I mean, you texted me. So how crazy is that? How crazy is that? But I'm not talking about those kind of synchronicities. I'm talking about things happening in a way that's too damn convenient. You lose your job. You decide to go and live in a new place. At the time when you get to that place, you meet a person that changes your life. You couldn't have. You find that person, maybe they were only there for one night. You just meet them, and then that changes your life, and you get another job, or like something good happens. But you're like, how? Maybe you get a job of your dream after losing your fucked up job, or you lose your job, like a good job, and things just start falling apart. You find that these things are totally not connected. You're like, huh? What kind of synchronicities is this? Like things just seem to be working together so damn well that it doesn't make sense to look at this reality and be like, it's real, and it's just it's happening without any influence on the outside. But then you try to think of what could be on the outside. You're like, okay, what if this makes sense because it's just a dream? Because dreams make sense when you're in them. It's only after you've woken up that you're like, yeah, that of course didn't make sense. How did I even believe that it was real? So maybe to create synchronicities that lead to something good happening, we need to be choosing our desired reality. And that has to do with the stories that we're telling ourselves about what we do not know. Maybe that's how we create reality. Like try to have hope, I guess. Even if you expect the worst, so that you never get disappointed, so that you never get to feel negative emotions, basically. Because if you hope for the best, meaning that you tell yourself that the good things about what you don't know, but then if the bad things happen, you don't ever feel disappointed. Because if you feel disappointed, then you're gonna automatically create negative experiences. I've been in situations, and this is something that's crazy, right? I've been in situations that seem bad, but I kept on being positive, and something positive, like really positive, happened. You find that, yeah, I was actually in a bad situation, but I kept on telling myself something good. Meaning that I kept on praying. Maybe that's what Christians call prayer. I just kept on telling myself that something good is happening. Something good is happening, straight up. This is good. This is not, I didn't accept the reality that I was presented with. I wasn't like Truman in the Truman Show. The guy who created the town that Truman was in said when it was asked how Truman is not able to realize that the world that is in is fake, I was like, people accept the world with which they are presented. So I didn't accept. I've been in a situation where I just didn't accept. I didn't accept what seemed to be true, because nothing can actually be true. So I continue to tell myself that, nah, this is not bad. Like, this is, you know what I mean? And I fought. I didn't specifically say this is not real. I said this is not bad. Something that I want to see happen is going to happen, even though this has happened. And in fact, this is happening so that something good is going to happen. And then boom, something good happens. And I'll be like, shit, I give up too easily sometimes. So we need to figure out how consciousness works. Maybe we can perform real magic in this fucking realm. You know, maybe we can stop being mistreated, losing against these archons, you know, these negative energies, these demons, these beings that we encounter in our dreams. Maybe we can win against them, because it's all happening in the mind. Maybe the only reason why we don't really win is because we don't know that. We keep on forgetting that. And that's the only way that they can win. But because you've been stuck here for a very long time, you never truly forget that. Yes, maybe you might forget that for a moment. Like, I've been in a situation where I'll forget that for a moment, and maybe I'll create something bad, but from that bad thing that I've created, I'll try to create something good. Ever been in that kind of a situation? It's like if you do something bad and you're like, okay, this is fucked up. Or you get angry, you make a stupid mistake. After making that mistake, you're like, I need to make something good happen out of this mistake that I've made. And then you make something good happen. You're like, yeah, I made a stupid mistake because of my emotions. I let my emotions get the best of me, but that doesn't mean that it's all over. That doesn't mean that now bad things should happen because of this stupid mistake that I've made. I can actually turn things around and make them work in my favor. I'll try to give you an example. So, Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, right? What he did was very stupid, but obviously he did that because he was emotional, right? So let's say when he went to sit down and realized that he made a mistake, he didn't shout. He didn't say, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Because that's what made it worse. To be honest with you, that would have been one of the best moments. Was it at the Oscars or the Grammys? Just that I don't really remember. But that would have been one of the best moments, because people would need to question whether that was real or if it was staged. And there would be debates about it. And that would, I think, even maybe behind the scenes, they would try to, Will and Chris will try to negotiate a deal, you know, see how Will is going to compensate him, right? But he continued to make it worse. Like, it ended well. Like, people were confused. Even everyone who was there was confused. Did they plan this shit or not? And it will end up, like, the truth will only be known by them. Because Chris knows how to make everything seem cool. Chris just said, Will just slapped me. Remember, that was not a crazy slap. It's not like he fell down. You know, he just slapped him, and Chris was left here with a smile on his face. So he could have sat down, and it could have seemed staged. And some people would say that it's real. Some people would, you know what I mean? But he made it worse. So sometimes we do make mistakes, and then we make things worse. Not being able to turn things around. He could have, after winning that award that he won, after not saying that keep your wife's name, whatever, keep my wife's name, whatever he said, I don't really remember. He could have made it a joke. I slapped Chris. He could have started by saying that, and then people would laugh. You know, people would laugh at anything, right? And then he thanked people for the award, not even apologize to Chris. go and sit down, and yeah. The Grammy, that the award show will have won. Will have won. Chris will have won. But he made it worse. But even after making it worse, he still could have found a way to turn things around, in my opinion. But it would have been hard now, because now the whole world knows that he's controlled by his emotions, he's controlled by his anger. But I've always been surprised why people, started hating him because of that. Because he was like one of the most perfect celebrities. I mean, there's this guy, his name is Big Boy, right? He's I don't know if this story is true. I haven't verified if the story is true, but I thought it was a crazy story. I came across this story on TikTok, but like I said, we create reality, right? So it's because it's not supposed to be possible, this story that I'm about to tell you. So there's this guy, his name is Big Boy. So this guy was friends with Will Smith. He was fat as hell, like really, really fat, like really, really fat. Will Smith said that he will donate money every time he loses, like maybe a pound or something. He kept on working out. Now, Big Boy, I've watched him interview a lot of artists. I've watched him, like he's huge. But he's lost a lot of weight that is actually unbelievable. I've also so it's because of Will. Will did a lot of good things. So because he fucked up once in front of the world, now we're supposed to hate him. We all have had that kind of moment in our lives, in our personal lives. We all have made mistakes in our lives. We all have slapped someone because we were angry. I've slapped someone because I was angry before. It does happen. It does happen. We cannot be perfect all the time. You never know. You could. There's someone who blamed Will for what he did, and they ended up doing worse. You see, they ended up doing worse. So it's funny that people hate Will Smith because of that. It's like, nah, he did it. It's not like he did the most horrible thing, and he paid for it. I mean, part of being human is not being perfect. So it's to me, it's only people who don't think correctly would not forgive someone for that, even though the guy didn't double down or anything. We can all go crazy sometimes. It happens. You can go crazy sometimes and make mistakes. It's part of being human. You cannot be perfect. I can make a mistake. It will actually be fun if I made a mistake in my life and then someone said, I used to listen to him, now I don't. It's like, no, there are a lot of good things that I did. There's so many good videos that I've made. Are you gonna look at me and be like, because of this one mistake, now I hate you? Because of this one, it goes back to what I was saying about people only focusing on the negative shit. Like taking the negative shit more seriously than not take the positive shit. But yeah, Will did something good, like if that really happened. Because Big Boy now, he seemed very, very healthy. Like he lost a lot of weight. Dude was fat. This reminds me also of the story of this guy, David Goggins. Is David Goggins. He said he was fat when he had to become a Navy SEAL. And he had to go and work out in 3 months to be in shape. When they showed his image, I don't know how real that was because it doesn't seem possible. He was actually fat, but when you look at him now, like he's not fat at all. And the guy is able to like perform at a level that a normal human can. Like even real athletes, man. Like Israel Adesanya, he was a UFC middleweight champion. He couldn't do anything against Goggins. You couldn't. Like you couldn't, like you would get tired and give up. Like, we're talking about real athletes here, like fighters. To become a fighter, you have to be a real athlete. I think I would love to see someone like Mayweather training with Goggins. I would like to see what happens. Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson was known in the UFC for having cardio, bruh. Like he would fight at the same pace for 5 rounds. And everyone would be surprised, like how? His opponents will get tired, but he doesn't get tired. I mean, that's what he was known for, like having a great cardio. but he couldn't keep up with Goggins. I think these people might be driving a president, someone important. What are those? It's one of the most unsafest posts to cross. But thank you all guys for watching this video until the end. Your support means a lot. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep it going. Thank you all guys.